Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the frequency of abundance. Just getting my video started here. Welcome. So good to have you here. It's the first day of spring here in New Zealand. Ah, I've still got my scarf on. I've just had the heater on. But we're getting there, right? We're getting into some warm weather. I'm so excited. I'm just bringing up my phone so I can see comments. But welcome, folks. I'm excited to do this a little differently as well and start this by kicking off on a Monday. I often do these Facebook Lives towards the end of the week, but I decided to shift it around a little bit so we can kick things off and be in the energy for the week. Because moving into this month in particular, but there's 4 months left in the year. Can you believe it? 4 months, like where did 2025 go? Man, time goes fast, especially when you're having fun, right? So, who's with me? Do you mind commenting, guys, so I can see if I can see the comments? Otherwise, I will reload. That would be really helpful. Thank you so much. But so good to be here, folks, because we're talking about abundance. I would love to know from your perspective what abundance means to you, because I am ready to blow your socks off and really talk about this from the quantum physics point of view to really help you to embody more abundance frequency. But I'd love to hear from you. What does it mean to you? Oh, what's going on? I can't see any comments, so I don't know if that means nobody's commented. Could you say hi? Hi, Jessie. I can see that you're watching, but I can't see anybody's comments. So, my apologies, folks. Sometimes this happens when I'm on my laptop, but I don't know if it's just particular to my phone. So if somebody could say hi, I would very much appreciate it. If you already have and I can't see it, my apologies. I'm going to get started. What does abundance mean to you, folks? Often when people hear that word, it's natural to think money. Right? It's natural to think, oh, money is part of your abundance, or abundance is a feeling, or abundance is more than enough, which is a correct definition. Abundance being more than enough. I have more than enough money. I have more money than I can spend, right? More than enough. And is that an energetic frequency? I actually like to see this as a state of consciousness. Thank you, Jessie. Yay! Awesome. Good for you, girlfriend. Going to the gym. Just wrote a post about that this morning about why going to the gym is correlated to your manifesting. So if you want to be on my email list, send me your email address. So let's talk about abundance as a state of consciousness, folks. I want you to think of it like a new dimension that you get to access, a new reality that you get to walk into where you can look around and be like, wow, life is just pure abundance. I have all my needs met and more. And why do I say a state of consciousness, folks? Because equating abundance to money is like reducing inner peace to a $20 bill. There is no comparison, right? Because from a state of inner peace, you're going to be able to create so much more money. So I want you to have this orientation where abundance is a state of consciousness, just like peace is. A lot of people might say that peace is an emotion, but it's also a state of consciousness, a state of being. I get to be in the state of peace. I get to be in the state of abundance. And this is why often people wonder why money is not showing up in the reality the way that they prefer. To start with, there's often too much focus on the 3D reality, too much attachment to the 3D reality, as opposed from living from the state of consciousness where you know and your focus and your energy and your attention is in the abundance. You're detaching from the 3D reality. And I know a lot of people might hear this and they might be like, are you crazy, lady? Right? But I want you to think of it this way. Does the 3D reality bring you what you want? Now, your mind might go, well, yes, because when I put it out to the universe and then it comes back to me. But you have to understand that you are consciousness in a body, correct? So where you're focusing your attention is what is being amplified in your reality. Now, so if you're focusing on something outside of you, and maybe that's fear based, that thing can often feel like it has power or control over you, which is incorrect. It's just your perspective and focus that is creating that reality. This is why one of the things that you want to learn as a master manifester is how to unhook from the 3D reality. Why do you want to do that? You need to understand 3D reality, what you can see with your physical eyes, is less than 1% of all the light spectrum. Your physical eye cannot see all the light spectrum. You can only see less than 1%. Your physical reality is more of an illusion than the other 99%. This is why, right, when we wake up and we start developing our intuition and we start connecting with different realms and different frequencies, higher frequencies, angels, archangels, the company of heaven, etc., your perception of God, you start realizing that you're looking to this 3D reality, this less than 1%, to give you. Give me the money, give me the goods, give me the car, give me the house, give me the stuff. And you are missing the state of consciousness that is available to you. And that's why a lot of people, the ego loves this too. A lot of people will look for a technique to create more abundance, which is kind of like saying, I will use a technique to access a different dimension. Right? No. It's about who you are being from the inside out, the relationship you are having with reality, the relationship you are having with your infinite intelligence. When you shift your focus off the 3D reality and into yourself and into your own power, that's when it's going to be easy for you to step into a new level of consciousness. Right? And of course, the ego, as we know, which is the part of you that's just primarily interested in your safety, and it is fear-based, and it is the cause of all your negative emotions. That's why your emotions are a guidance system. Like when you feel like ass, you are very, very far away from the mind of God. That is the way the universe communicates to you and says, hey, ooh, you've wandered away from me. And the intensity of the negative emotion is just showing you how far away from the universe you have wandered. Truly, folks, when you understand your emotions as a guidance system, it becomes very clear, and it becomes about the relationship that you're having with yourself. You are the one who chooses to step into the consciousness of abundance. That is not attached to where is the money? Where is the money? Where is the money? There is none of that language. Now, if you're listening to this too, this is one thing I wanted to say at the start of the call. Please put any shame about where you are at right now. Poof, let it go. That voice inside of you that listens to information like this and says, oh, they know it all, or I don't know it, or they're making all the money, or, you know, why isn't my money showing up the way that I prefer? Or, oh my goodness, I know that I'm still in fear in relationship to money. That is literally the part of you that needs to become quiet. If you have any form of shame, folks, please pop it to the side. A lot of people have shame about money. They're like, why does it look like that? Why am I not there yet? It's just because you don't have all the componentry when it comes to being the frequency. And a lot of times, right, like people will approach manifestation, which you have been doing all along anyway, folks, right? But then you become aware of what you're doing, and then you want to apply principles correctly so you get the outcomes that you prefer. And there's a lot of misinformation out there. But have you noticed there are often a lot of elements that are exactly the same? Like people are talking about Hermetic principles or ancient wisdom that is exactly the same. But oftentimes, right, they don't have all the componentry that brings it together so it actually works. Right? Like focusing your attention on a technique, amazing. Who are you being 99% of the other time? If you do a technique, right, and then you walk away 2 seconds later and you're having an argument in your head with somebody, you've just completely negated that technique. Manifestation is a moment to moment, who am I being, consciousness practice. Please let go of this idea that it's got anything to do with the external world, because you literally need to detach from that. I see so many times where people give their power away to the outside world, to reality, to time, to their partner, to their children, to their body, to the weather, to the government. Right? Because they don't understand, I am consciousness in a body. I am creating this whole gig from the inside out. Where I place my focus is what will expand. A lot of times, too, for people, God, universe, source, whatever you like to call it, the infinite intelligence inside of yourself, is about 25 places down your to-do list. If you switch that around, folks, and make the universe your highest priority, you can collapse time and have your to-do list taken care of in ways that'll blow your mind. But this is the thing, folks. Most people resist their power. And this consciousness inside of you, the consciousness that is literally beating your heart right now, your soul that talks to you on a regular basis, what's happening is often we are avoiding it, or we're not letting it in. Right, let me ask you that question. Are you letting the universe in? Fully in. Right, like into all the parts of you. Because you know what's so funny? Like, as humans, we think, because we do it to ourselves, right? Like, we block ourselves from seeing our stuff often. The ego will do that because the ego will go, oh, that's not safe because it feels bad. I don't want to look at that. And then we go to the universe and try and create abundance, right? And the universe sees all of that. But to be more like God, which is what you want in order to manifest easily, truly, true alignment is alignment with the most powerful part of yourself. It's alignment with this consciousness. And that's why your relationship with the universe is so important in terms of creating the outcomes that you want. Because if you felt hurt by the universe, it's really easy to be disappointed or pissed off with God, which is really being disappointed or pissed off with yourself, because there is no separation. Right? To be this person who's creating this relationship from the inside out, letting go of anywhere there is anything outside of you that has power over you. And reality can be compelling. Right? And remember that your ego and your central nervous system are locked in. So your ego is always scanning your environment for safety. That is why it's like the dog on the nail. Like, you often see people who are suffering, but they are staying in those circumstances because it's familiar. And the ego goes, well, what does happen if more money comes in? Is that safe? Are people going to attack me? Is that more responsibility? Am I going to lose love? No, because again, what's going to happen is your relationship with yourself is going to be more powerful than anything outside of you, including friendships, including your bank account, including what your bank manager says, including what your doctor says, including what anybody outside of you says, because you are aligning with your true power, which is the universe. So you might have come here thinking, okay, let's talk about money. But abundance is so much more than that. Abundance is living from a place of complete confidence in your ability to create. I talked about this before, right? Like, when you manifest something, it's so cool, right? Like when you have a big lump sum of money come in, what is cooler is the fact that you created it. Because if you can create that there, you can create it there and there and there and there and there. And it doesn't matter what the money does, because you have this power and confidence to continue to create no matter what. That's why if all your money disappears, which is a really great place to flex into more abundance, right? Because a wise man is the same in pleasure and in pain. If you can look at your bank account and it's not got any money in it, and it means nothing about you, and you know that you're more powerful than seeing a zero, you are on your way to massive abundance. But what happens, right, is our ego gets activated, goes, oh my God, I haven't got any money. What does this mean? It takes you into a place of feeling unsafe instead of being the person who is so aligned with the consciousness of the universe, which can solve that problem for you in 2 seconds. But you have to be aligned with that to know yourself as that powerful to solve that problem. And the work, folks, is to shift your focus so you start seeing abundance everywhere. But please don't make the mistake of thinking that that's it. I just shift my focus. And also, too, right? Like manifesting a lump sum is not enough. You want to be the person who can do that on repeat, right? You want to be the person who is generating. And again, you need to have a portal. What is a portal? A way that the universe can get money to you. And it is pretty inventive. But if you want it to be on a consistent basis, something like a business or a book or speaking gigs or whatever it looks like for you, needs to be open so money can come through that portal into your reality. Right? And often what happens for people is they think that they need to effort their way into more, because this is what we've been taught from school. You need to work hard and then you'll receive. You don't need to earn frequency. Let that land from it. You don't need to earn frequency. You need to allow yourself to be it. You need to let go. Oh, I mean, see, folks, this is the work, right? The work is not really about adding more. It's about letting go, right? Letting go of the imprints, of the conditionings, of all the times and places that you've considered that you have been powerless, right? And that you hated it because it took you out of alignment with the truth of who you are. Now, what can happen is, like, if we have circumstances and somebody's perpetrated against us and we can feel like, oh, I feel so powerless, we can end up blaming them. That doesn't make you more powerful. Or you can blame God, or you can blame yourself. No, the invitation is to be the person who doesn't have a problem with it. What is the frequency of that person? The frequency of that person who doesn't have a problem with somebody who's perpetrated against you is that they have totally forgiven them. And the ego doesn't really like forgiveness because it doesn't consider it safe. It will go, but what if you forgive that person and they hurt you again? And this is really where you start to understand and start to trip out on the quantum physics and realize they can only hurt you if you decide that they did. See, manifestation, folks, isn't just about money, right? It's about power. It's about who you're being. It's about whether you're responding to reality from a place of power or powerlessness. It is about you being aligned with knowing that the universe has got you, like trusting the universe deeply, that it will guide you to everything as long as you're willing to work with it. But if your relationship with the universe is 25 spots down your to-do list, that's going to be reflected in what you're creating if you're creating consciously, meaning you're creating from frequency, meaning you're creating from your intuitive guidance. And it's the only way to create that I have seen that is going to bring you fulfillment, because I've seen a lot of people make money from their rational mind, make millions, and then get to a place where they're having a midlife crisis because they're like, oh my God, I thought this was going to fulfill me, because they were making money from ego and not from consciousness. And then they get to this place in their life where they're like, oh my God, I have all this money, but I'm so dissatisfied. I'm yearning for fulfillment. I'm yearning for connection with this infinite intelligence inside of myself. So be clever and do both, right? Use money as a way to align you to more consciousness. Use money as a guidepost to take you straight into God, right? Straight into your own power proposition, to be a person who is more powerful than time. Allow yourself to feel that in your body. You know why? Because God is beyond time. To be a person who's more powerful than money. So money does what you say, not what you think money is telling you to do. This is where people go, oh, I can't afford that. They're not living in consciousness, right? They're living from fear. They're allowing money to decide what they get to do. Now, as an infinite being, you're like, and again, the beautiful thing about the universe, it gave you free will. So you get to choose. You can be the person who goes, oh, I can't afford that. And the universe will just agree with you and say yes. Or you can be a person who's like, who do I need to be in order to align with that? Now, that's a way better question, right? Because then the universe is going to work on your behalf and show you. That's why when you ask for what you want, be prepared to get it, folks. Because if you're listening to your intuition, often people, right, what will happen, people will go, okay, I want to be a person. Let's say you want to be a person who makes 10K months is often a goal for entrepreneurs. Whatever it is for you, 50, 100, 200, doesn't matter, whatever the number is. You want to create that. As soon as you decide, what happens is the universe is going to show you what is not in alignment with that. But that's often where people can crumble. Instead of going, oh, the universe is literally showing me this needs to go. People will often crumble because at the first sight of a challenge, instead of asking themselves, oh, no, 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 I'm more powerful than this. So how am I going to respond to it? Your ego, folks, keeps you trapped. It keeps you stuck in a reality where you're never satisfied. Your ego loves to hang out with victim energy, and it loves to collect grievances because it's trying to keep you safe. It's trying to hold you in an old identity, and it wants that identity to stay alive. Right? It's like waking up and realizing that there is a parasite stuck on your body and doing the work to become a person. So you literally shed your own skin so that parasite can't suck on you anymore. And people don't understand this, and that's when they get all excited often about creating something. They make the decision, they stow up, they're excited, they get their energy behind it, and then time goes on and they lose amplification, they lose power, they lose voltage. They can't stay being the person because they haven't fully developed that level of consciousness where it's like, it doesn't matter what it looks like in the external because this connection with source energy is stronger than this. And that is the work, folks, right? And to undermine yourself and think that you're doing a manifestation technique is going to trump your relationship with the universe, that is a little naive, right? That is a little naive. And this is why we need to understand that your relationship with the universe is literally being reflected to you in your reality. You know, folks, for a long time, I really kind of struggled, even though I'd worked in banking and I knew a lot of logical, rational mind things about money, and I had a lot of experiences around money psychology, but really going into the energetics and the quantum physics and the metaphysical side of money and really understanding, because even in my own journey, like recognizing where I wasn't completely dialed into the energy of abundance and then going, well, who am I choosing to be in relationship to that? And then getting to a place, you know, when you get really sick and tired of yourself and you're just like, oh, I'm sick of my own bullshit. And you get to a place where you're just like, I'm just not doing that anymore. Right? Which is a shift into the divine identity where there is nothing wrong. Even if I can't see the solution immediately, it is here. That level of faith and trust and certainty. Because if you want to manifest effortlessly, you need to be certain. You need to have conviction. And often what happens, right, with folks on a day-to-day, moment-to-moment basis, we are convicted when they're not convicted. Right? We're secure, we're insecure. We're confident, we've lost our confidence. We're feeling good about it, and then somebody says something, and then we don't feel good about it. You see, when you really look at what true manifestation work is, it is your ability to be powerful moment to moment to moment to moment. Because the universe is powerful moment to moment. The universe doesn't blink. It doesn't have a nap. It doesn't take a snooze. It just is, right? It is this insanely mind-blowing power that we can't even really wrap our heads around. Like words are at a loss for the frequency. How do you describe frequency? Goodness knows, right? But you feel it. You feel the expansion. You feel what it feels like to create something out of nothing. You feel what it feels like to be consciousness that is creating. And it feels amazing, right? It feels, in fact, it would have to be the most highly sought after energy on the face of the planet. People might look at their desire, but what they're really desiring, folks, is knowing their consciousness as they create it. Because there's nothing that can surpass that. There is no emotional experience on earth that you can get from a material item that will supersede a feeling that you get from source energy. Ever. You know, like getting a new car, amazing, so much fun. Side effect of who you're being, awesome. That's never going to surpass the feeling of being connected to God. How can it? Like, even saying that out loud, it sounds ridiculous, right? But guess what? Often we're so fixated on this that we block this. Right? The universe isn't going to ask you, oh, did you really enjoy that car when you pass? The universe is going to ask you, did you let me love you? Did you? Did you? Did you? Right? And that's a whole other way of being. And in that dimension of allowing yourself to be deeply loved by the universe, to know yourself as an extension of the divine, you can have the car, the house, the money, everything that you desire. And you will have it from a place of the deepest fulfillment. And you will be living in the frequencies of so much gratitude because you'll be like, I'm having this love affair with my divinity. And as a side effect, I'm creating this ideal reality. But often, right, what happens, right? Like, you know, like it took me a while to get that into the right place because I was like, oh, I want to talk to people about money because it's there in my past. Like the universe is literally showing me and really getting to a place where I'm like, oh, yeah, this is good because, you know, money shows people their ego, right? It shows them where they're attached. And then we can do the work of softening that and surrendering that so they can come back into alignment into their true nature. So money actually becomes this most amazing guide. It is like a beautiful guidance process. Like it is a guide that shows you what it is to be aligned with the universe or not. Because ego attachment will tell you when I get the money, that's when I'll feel good. And this is why often people come to a call like this, even listening to this now, like asking yourself, is there part of yourself that's making yourself wrong listening to this? Is there part of you that's like, oh, why don't I have more money? Is there part of you that's feeling unfulfilled? All of that can be taken care of. The money and the fulfillment can be taken care of through using your money as a guide deeper into your relationship with the divine. So, folks, tomorrow I am launching Magnetic to Money, which is literally what it takes for you to step into your power, to be in creative co-regulation, shall we say, with the universe, which means that you are available for infinite power and infinite intelligence, that you have decided to create your ideal reality, and you are being the person who's choosing to shift into that, which also means that you need to shift your identity. Why do you need to shift your identity? Because your old identity is currently experiencing what you're experiencing. And if you want it to be a different reality, like let's say that 50K month reality or 10K month, whatever it is that you're choosing, that's a different frequency. And to do the identity shift of this is who I am now. I am a person who generates that kind of income each month because I'm showing up. I'm taking the action steps, which is always an interesting thing too, because if you know about masculine and feminine dynamics, there are often two things that can happen. Often women have gone into hyper-masculine and they have done all the giving, especially moms, right? Because being a mother is actually masculine because you have to give, Right? Give to your children, give them time, give them energy, give them food, keep them alive, etc. Give them love, give them attention. It actually puts you into masculine energy. If you are working as well, you are also giving there. So often what happens is women can go into their mind, into their head, and they can be really good at giving, right? But then what happens to the feminine aspect of being good at receiving? But oftentimes other people are in this dynamic of shifting into their feminine, or they're in feminine energy and they're open and receptive, but they're not taking any action, right? It needs to be a place of balance, folks, where the action is effortless. The action creates more relaxation. So you're not in hyper hard drive, because that will burn a feminine body out, taking too much action, right? And coming back into this place of deeper trust, which means trusting your relationship with time and reality, and softening into being open to allow the universe to give you the intuitive awareness, right? Because that is still an act of receiving, so you can go and take action on it. But often what is happening, right? People are living from their head, thinking, I have to do it all by myself, not referring to the universe for support and help. Or they have a messed up relationship with the universe where they're literally cock blocking God. They're not listening to their intuition. They're not allowing space for their intuition to speak to them. They're not allowing themselves to receive, to make it easy. Let me give you an example. Last week, I woke up in the morning and my intuition told me to put an offer out for a VIP day because I'm going to Greece and London very shortly. And I was like, oh, okay. Did it immediately, folks. Didn't sit there and think about it or go, oh, no, maybe yes, no, oh. Just did what my intuition told me to do. And then I was like, well, how do I do that, right? Like, because we always get stuck on the how. And I was like, I'm just going to put it out. Who's overseas, right? Who's in the UK? Who's in Europe? That was my post. People who responded to that, I sent them a message, right? That's pretty effortless, really. That's not hard work. But I tell you what's not as easy as getting to a place where you can hear your intuition that clearly. Because often, right, it's fear that blocks you, or you're making something else more important than your infinite intelligence. Right, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I've got to take care of this. Oh my goodness, how many times have I seen people having a dysfunctional relationship with how they spend their time, as opposed to no, I have all the time in the world when I'm connected to the universe, when I'm making the universe my highest priority, allowing myself to be in that space of hearing my intuition, simply taking an action step. What does that tell your intuition? That you're willing. What does that do? That gives you, it opens up to more information. You go back to your intuition. You be still and know I am God, right? And allow the universe to speak to you. You're going to get there a lot faster and a lot quicker with a lot less effort. But you know what's hard for people? To sit still and listen. Because their ego's like, what do you want to do that for? You haven't got time. What are you doing? You're being lazy, right? That's the voice and the noise that needs to be quietened down, folks. That's the work. To allow fear to be silent so you can hear what the universe has for you. Anyway, put it out there. Spoke to a lovely lady, so excited about doing a VIP day with her in London. Now, I was detached, meaning I put it out there because this is how I see it. If I follow my intuition and I do what my intuition says, even if it doesn't come in an outcome, because that can just be ego attachment, right? Like I've done it, so I expect to receive something from the ego, which is fear-based, as opposed to it doesn't actually matter if somebody chooses that or not, because I'm still good, right? It's not going to impact my relationship with my intuition because I trust my intuition, but I'm doing what my intuition says. So it's more about cultivating this relationship of trust and demonstrating that I'm willing to move when I get the hunch rather than the outcome. Because a lot of people get stuck on the how. How do I do that? How am I going to create it? The people who are asking those questions are slowing themselves down, as opposed to, this is how I did it when I started my business. because again, there was definitely some rational mind stuff going on there as well. I was kind of like, I'm going to do this and I'm just going to get some feedback. So I would take an action step believing that it was aligning me to my ideal outcomes. Right? So I would be like, okay, to the best of my ability, I feel like this is what it is. And I would take an action step on it. And because I was doing that, what was I doing? I was creating more certainty. I was being a person who was bringing confidence and conviction. Right? In banking, I don't think I ever made more than 50 grand a year. In my first year in coaching, I made 60 grand. And that was literally not from having a business plan, it was from following my intuition to the best of my ability. Now, also, too, what people don't understand is they're often asking their intuition from an incorrect frequency. Meaning, you want to go to the version of you that already has it, folks, and ask that frequency. But again, these are some things that you need to discover and lean into and learn in your relationship with yourself and your relationship with your power, because your ability to create what you want is power. And it all starts with your self-perception. Hey, Karen, how are you? Hi, Trina. Hi, Vivian. Good morning. It all starts with your perception of yourself. Do you see yourself as powerful? Are you moving accordingly? And a lot of people can have fear around their own power. Oh, I can't do that. Other people won't like it. A powerful person doesn't look at their external reality. They look to God. A powerful person doesn't look to the judgment of others. They look to the mind of God. Right? A powerful person isn't concerned, because a lot of things for people is other people won't like it. Really? Is that true? Or is that just a concept in your head? Because when you go into that place too, folks, if you have a lot of fear about that, you can be guaranteed this. You are probably criticizing yourself. You are probably having arguments with people inside your own head. And guess what? Because the way reality is constructed, if you're having an argument inside your head, you are going to be creating a feeling of not being safe in your body. And your ego loves to drag you into that mud, right? Because it loves to show you, hey, you're not safe. You need to do something about this because you're not safe. This is where we create defensiveness, which is separation, which the ego is all over, right? The ego will always separate you from the mind of God, right? Ego edging God out. When you are having arguments or defensive conversations in your head about other people in reality, that is your ego. That's the part of you that needs to be shh. I was talking about this in the container, right? You need an ego whisperer to quieten that voice down. There is nothing wrong. My ego doesn't need to go into this defense mechanism in order to try and keep me safe. It's actually disconnecting me from source energy, which is by definition, folks, hell. What is hell? Being separate from the divine. That is hell. A lot of people are experiencing hell on earth because of their perspective. Wild, right? Because they're not bringing themselves back to the truth. They're not bringing themselves back to their own inner authority, which the universe invested in them. They're not seeing themselves as powerful. They're seeing themselves as powerless. Because guess what, folks? Money doesn't make you powerful. The ego believes that, but it does not. I want you to look at that, right? I want you to see that. I want you to see that construction in reality. People buy into that money makes people powerful. No, it doesn't. Consciousness is power. And there are a lot of unconscious people out there who have a lot of money, correct? And again, this is where it gets interesting, a little bit spicy, because the universe doesn't really have any moral judgment, folks. Have you noticed? The universe is an acceptance of everyone and how they behave. Now, everybody has an internal guidance system, and if you go against your own moral code, you will pay the price. right? If you're unkind to somebody else intentionally on purpose from your own fear, you're going to feel that in your own body. Your guidance system through your vessel, being your body, is going to show you. That is, if you have a conscience, right? You are being guided moment to moment to moment if you have eyes and ears to see. This conversation is a guidance process, right? Like, what do I say? I ask the universe to speak through me when I'm having these conversations. What is it that people need to know? What is the perspective that they need to have in relationship to their money? Right? How do I get the words through to help them understand at a deeper level who they really are and the power that they hold? Because your ego is going to look at your power and go, oh, I don't know about that. I'm not sure about that. And your ego is going to go, is it worth it being powerful? You know what that really is, folks? It is a dance between the light and the dark inside of you. It's the dance between love and fear. It is the dance between low frequency, shall we call it, and spirit. Who are you going to listen to? Who are you going to align with? Who are you going to be? Money is a side effect of you being powerful. Money is a side effect of you deciding that you're having it because you're choosing for your money to be shameless. Money is the side effect of you being in the embodiment of power. If you're not creating the money that you want, right, even the fact that you're having that thought process is an indication that something needs to shift into alignment. Right? Because one of the correct definitions of manifestation is to get to a place where you are emotionally independent of your circumstances, meaning that your situation does not impact your emotions. Meaning, if you have $1 million in the bank, you're not sitting there going, whoopee, or you have $0 in the bank. You can react to both of those things the same way emotionally. Because you know who you are. Your power is greater than what you're looking at. Makes sense? Does anybody have any questions about what I'm talking about? How are you feeling in your body? Because this is the thing, folks, right? Your soul knows how powerful you are. Your soul knows what's available for you. Remember that there's a million different timelines, meaning there's a million different versions of you who are having all these different experiences and they're already created. It's called the multiverse, right? There's a homeless version of you. There's a $1 billion version of you. There's a multi-million-dollar version of you. There's a 5K month version of you, right? You are constantly aligning to those timelines. And this is the thing that people don't understand. Manifestation is a moment-to-moment experience. Now, it's not a place of getting to and like, I have to hold this vibration, because what you're going to come to understand is you are aligning with it and then you become it. You're not constantly thinking about abundance all day long. You're just being it because you see it everywhere. You are aligned with that dimension. You're in it, right? And it often looks like satisfaction, feeling secure, feeling safe, like everything is going my way. And again, these ideas that a technique is going to change your reality, please, folks, right? It's kind of like an insult to infinite intelligence in a way. Insulting yourself that you can change your whole reality by just applying a technique. Now, if a technique does shift your reality, it's because you've put so much energy and effort behind it, right? You've backed your energy behind it and you have brought it to life through your focus and your belief in it, right? But what the universe is asking you to believe in is you. You as your ability to be an amazing creator. You as the ability to be so magnetic that money just flies into your world, because that's who you're being. To be the person who comes back into this place of strength and courage and alignment, knowing that everything is always working out for you. If a challenge presents, sweet, I'm on it. No problem. I've got this. No matter what the challenge is. Right? Because the ego can get hijacked so quickly. somebody gets sick, somebody's in a car accident, somebody dies, right? The ego can be all over those things going, oh my God, that's so wrong, that's so bad. If you're aligned with the spiritual dimension, you will see the perfection of all of it. You will not be making it wrong. And there are so many people, folks, who are suffering because their ego has got them hog-tied. It's got them hog-tied and they're lying on that nail coming out of the board because they don't have the ability to get themselves up and move away from it and allow their intuition to show them there is this whole other dimension that you can live from where you feel peaceful, you feel calm, you feel safe, you are trusting in yourself, you are trusting reality, you are trusting the universe, you are trusting the God of your heart, and you are aligning with the timeline that you prefer. But that is an embodiment process. So I do hope you join me for Magnetic to Money. It is a 3-month journey. It is wild. The last time the average amount that people manifested was $65,000. You know, it's the last 4 months. I mean, the program's 3 months, but it'll probably be 3.5, I would imagine, by the time we wrap up. So that's going to take us through to Christmas. Who do you want to be at Christmas time? I presume you want to be a more empowered version of yourself, the part of you that knows how to create financial abundance through your focus, through your perspective, through your level of consciousness, and through your identity. Right? And the actual process, folks, is not hard, right? The work is not hard. What is more challenging is learning how to master your ego, the parts of you that are fearful, to respond with power to fear instead of responding to fear with more fear, which is often what happens. Like, who do you need to be to respond to fear with power? Because that aligns you to the mind of God just like that. So I feel like we're pretty much on time. The details for Magnetic to Money will be coming tomorrow, folks. I'm going to do a pre-sale offer for about 48 hours. And then after that, it's going to go up. This work is incredibly powerful. This is not for you if you want to stay in the status quo. It is not for you if you're not willing to be challenged into a new version of reality. It is not for you if you want to stay attached to your 3D reality. It is not for you if you want to continue to really live from your rational mind as opposed to moving into your body and your heart space. It is for you if you want to increase your power proposition and align with the universe. It is for you if you're ready to stop the suffering and the struggle and become more powerful than your own ego, than your own fear. So I'll be dropping details tomorrow, so keep your eyes tuned for that. In the meantime, if you've got any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them here and I will respond to them. Sorry I can't really see the comments so well on that video, but thank you Jessie and Vivian for commenting. In the meantime, folks, I trust that you're choosing. And folks, you are safer in your power than you are in powerlessness. Let that land, right? Because I know what happens. The ego goes, ooh, 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 what's going on, right? You are safer in power than you are in powerlessness, because the power I'm talking about is the power of God. And there is no fear in the power of God. Right? So just allowing that to settle into all the cells of your body. If you're allowing yourself to be an advocate for the divine, to be a person who's like, I know who I am, I'm leading accordingly. If you're willing to do the work of dissolving your ego, you will transform yourself into a person who lives in the frequency and the state of consciousness of abundance. I'm sending you so much love. Thanks for joining me here on this beautiful Monday morning, first day of spring. I'll look forward to connecting with you guys really soon. Lots of love, everybody. Bye for now.